I still remember standing on the stage in school as a teenager, reciting a poem, my hands shaking with nervousness, my voice trembling with fear, and my heart pounding so hard I thought that others could hear it. There were hundreds of students and teachers in front of me. I was on the stage and no one was listening to me. My voice was quite feeble. I was stuttering. I was forgetting my lines. And I could actually see the crowd getting bored, disengaged, and some of them, yeah, even mocking me. Um, so I had stage fright, and this was perhaps one of the most embarrassing moments of my life as a teenager. And as a child and all through my teenage years, I remember being this shy, underconfident boy who was constantly living under this inferiority complex. And the strongest voice in my head was, I'm not good enough. And this self-belief of mine, this low self-belief of mine really became my biggest enemy and defeated me many times in life. Until this one moment when one person changed my life. It was during my first job about 20 years back. I was still scared of, petrified of public speaking, really, still comparing myself with others and still feeling inadequate. The enemy, I'm not good enough, becoming bigger and tightening its grip around me. And there was a job posting for a trainer's position that came up. This is about 21 years back. So this job position for a trainer came up, and many of my friends and my colleagues applied, but I did not. Because I saw them apply, and after I saw them apply, I was like, ये लोग apply कर रहे हैं तो मैं क्या करूँगा यार? Because amongst them was my friend Deba, who played the guitar and sang confidently, right? There was Samit, who had a great sense of humor. There was Anirudh, who spoke brilliant English. And out of fear of embarrassment and failure, I decided that I'm not going to apply, right? Why apply when I know I'm going to fail, right? And then late one evening, I was sitting in an auto with my then girlfriend, now wife, Sandra, who had this conversation with me. And she asked me why I didn't apply. And for the first time ever, I shared with her my feelings, my fears, my overpowering enemy that I'm not good enough. There are others who are better than me at this. I remember having this chat with Sandra in the auto. I don't remember exactly what she said. She said a lot, but she kicked me in my backside. But one of the messages was really about the fact that you have no idea how good you are. You're as good as anybody else and better than many others. Without getting into the details of the conversation, it was that moment where she believed in me when I did not believe in myself, and she saw in me what I could not see in myself. And she became the catalyst in encouraging me to do something about it. And she actually did put in my application. Um, and out of the 40, 45 odd people who applied 20 years back, I became the trainer. I got selected and I became the trainer. And that's the day my adventure really started 20 years back. And I decided somewhere along this journey, I decided that so what if I'm not born with it? Because I knew that there's some people who are born with it. So I said, so what if I'm not born with it? I will compensate for my not born with it, by not being born with it, by doing research and understanding the science behind how is it that somebody becomes a good speaker, how is it that somebody becomes a good influencer, a great storyteller. I wanted to understand the science behind that. And that's the path that I decided to get on about 20 years back. And it's really on this journey, this adventure, that it took me to some beautiful, beautiful places. It got me invited to the TEDx stage twice. It got me to speak at some amazing forums, including the World Storytelling Congress. Got me to open my own leadership development company about 10 years back in India and then expanded to Australia now. Got me to become a storytelling coach and got me even to this opportunity of engaging with all of you at EY, talking about storytelling, talking about how it can help you influence and inspire people. So today, when I coach leaders, when I work with managers across organizations across the globe, whether they are skilled natural speakers or whether they've had a journey like mine, I now know that the process and the science works each and every time. Because it's something I've tried on myself, it's something I've worked with at least about 5,000 people across more than 120 organizations, helping them transform to become the kind of communicators and storytellers that they really wanted to be. So the process works each time and every time, and I'm really excited to have the opportunity today to share bits of that process with all of you. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me and why I do what I do and why I'm so excited to be here. Now we're going to be using the chat window as the primary mode for you telling me what's going on and what your thoughts, your opinions are. So the first thing that I have to ask you, and please be ready on your chat windows, please, please, please. I get energy when I see something coming up there. Otherwise, just looking at myself and the slide deck does not give me energy. I know all of you have been there, so help me keep my energy up. So be ready on the chat window, because my first question to you is really this. As I shared my experience, as I shared my story, my journey with you, my question to you is, how did you feel listening to my story over the last 3 odd minutes? I'd love to get a few sound bites in the chat window. How did you feel? What happened to you? What did you go through when you listened to my story over the last 3 odd minutes? Okay, Prabhakar said, I could see myself. That's beautiful, Prabhakar. That's beautiful. Dinesh says, related to it. Thank you so much, Dinesh. Resonate, Sai Prasad said. Could connect to it, Amit says. Mamta says, same with me. I still feel so. Trying to portray it like a movie. Yeah, I feel I'm going in an auto myself. Okay. The weather should be right for it. Then you enjoy the auto rickshaw rides. Yeah. It's reminding us of our stories, right? That's Rama says that. Manish says self-belief is the key. Some smiles coming from. I'm not. Oh, okay. Somebody's not getting the audio. We'll try and help you if we can. Related to my first technical presentation, okay, in college, started going back in my time. I'm in the same situation. Always believe in yourself. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for sharing all of this in the chat window. And as I read through these comments, I think what's apparent is that what I hear from people say is what I'm hearing you say also, because very often when I share a story like this, the kind of responses I get on the screen for you, people say they were able to relate, they were able to connect, they were able to empathize, they were able to engage with it, right? Some of you said in the chat window here that you could relate to the story, right? It's reminded, GVS Ramachandran said that I could, it reminds us of our story. Now, here's my question. I'm hearing the word connect. I'm hearing the word, as we listen to your story, it made us think of our story, right? That happened for many of you. Here's the question. What do you think that does to our relationship, your relationship with me? When, as you listen to my story, you can connect to the story, you can relate to the story, and my story is making you think of your story. What does that do to our relationship? Can you put down in the chat window what you think that's doing to our relationship? Come on, let's see what you have there. What do you think it's doing to our relationship, this connecting, this relating, this thinking of your own stories? It builds trust. Absolutely. Preeti says builds trust. Devapriya, bonding, the connect, right? And the bottom line really is that it builds a level of trust, alignment, Neeraj says, great words, right? Now consider this. Now knowing this about me and having gone through that process would make it a little bit more easier for you to perhaps work with me. Yes? Not just work with me. If I had to now work with you, if I had to now influence you to do something, there is a higher chance that you would listen to me. I'm not saying whether you'd agree with me or not, but there's a higher possibility that you'd listen to me closely because of that trust that's gotten built in. Now, as you think of yourself as leaders, imagine what it could do to your ability to inspire people. Imagine what it could do to your ability to influence stakeholders if you're able to connect with them, relate with them, connect with them at this level, and then make the influence attempt, then make the attempt to try to inspire somebody. That's really the power of storytelling. And somebody's just said, Raghav has just spoken about visualization. Here's a question for you. If you remember the story, the question for you is, how many of you saw the story, saw at least one scene in the story? Just give me a yes if you saw the story. Just type a yes if you saw the story. Type a yes in the chat window if you saw any part of the story. Okay. And now also type, I'm seeing a lot of yeses coming in, great. Type the scene that you saw. Just one word would do. Auto rickshaw, stage, winter, whatever came to you. Just type that word that came. Okay, auto. Sai says auto came. What else came to you? What did you visualize? Going to the stage, the auto rickshaw, the stage, the stage, the stage. You see? Now, with that, I want to introduce you to the most important aspect of storytelling, business narratives. The most important aspect is the visual aspect that we've spoken about, because storytelling is a visual process. Storytelling is a visual process. We've got to, like somebody says, was seeing a movie, we've got to take people through a journey which they can see. And which brings me to the first golden rule, the first golden rule of storytelling that I want to introduce to you today. Get your cameras out if you want to take a picture of this slide. The first golden rule of storytelling is right there for you. A good story has to be seen and experienced by the listener, not just heard or read. A good story has got to be seen and experienced, not just heard or read. Seen and experienced. What does that mean? A story has got to be a visual process. It's got to be a visual experience. An experience, it's got to be an emotional experience. It's got to invoke some emotion in the listener. Excitement, happiness, sadness, fear, curiosity. It has to invoke some emotion by taking them through a visual process. So whether you're presenting a boring QBR, MBR deck to a stakeholder, or whether you're making a pitch to a client, or whether you're speaking at a town hall to hundreds of your employees and your team members and talking about something very transactional, you too can use stories to make it really, really inspiring, to make it visual, to create an emotion around it. And we're going to talk about how we do that in this workshop, right? Now, the first thing that I want to share with you is that after you understood the golden rule of storytelling, a good story has to be seen and experienced. I want to tell you how important stories have been and why is it that some of us struggle with storytelling today. Because I saw somebody putting down there that I'm okay with public speaking, but with storytelling is where I struggle and all. And you're not alone. We're all in the same boat, right? And we need to understand why that's happening. But first, let's take a look at what storytelling is and what storytelling is not. So first of all, let's talk about what storytelling is not in the corporate context. So this storytelling is not about kahani sunana, right? This is not about the pub talk stories. You understand the pub talk stories, right? Stories told without an intent, just stories told because you want to tell a story, right? I recently put up a video on LinkedIn because I was in a conversation with a client and it was such a deep, beautiful conversation that I put up a video on LinkedIn. The client told me said, yeah, storytelling is fun, but everybody's a storyteller. Everybody tells stories. Storytelling is not difficult. And I said, absolutely, yes, storytelling is not difficult at all. But here's the thing. And I told him, I said, my wife gifted me a flying lesson. So I've always wanted to fly a plane. My father was in the Air Force. So on my 40th birthday, a few years back, my wife gifted me a flying lesson here in Australia. And I was pretty excited. And we went up to the airfield and I sat, the pilot did the pre-takeoff test or whatever that's called. We sat in the plane. He took off the plane, the pilot, I'm sitting with him. And suddenly we reach up in the sky and he's flying the plane and he gives me the yoke, the control stick. And he says, okay, fly. Left for left, right for right, front for down, up for up. So I said, okay, can't be that simple, but we did that. So he said, okay, do this, bank left, bank right, front. And within a few seconds, I was actually flying the plane. And it was moving. I was turning left, it would turn left. I was turning right, it would turn right. I was like, my God, this is not rocket science. This is fun. After a few minutes, he took the controls back. He landed the plane. He landed the plane, obviously. And as we got off the plane and we were walking towards the hangar, I looked at him quite cheekily and I asked him, quite cheekily I asked him, I said, so how long will it take me to learn how to fly a plane? How long will it take me how to learn to fly a plane? He looked at me and said that it's going to take you as long as it takes anybody else. But let me tell you this, it's going to take you at least 5 times more to learn how to land a plane than it would take you to learn how to fly a plane. And that made so much sense. Because storytelling is just like that. Anybody can tell a story in the air. But if you're not able to land the story right at the key message, what's the point of storytelling? So business storytelling is not about faffing around. It's not about telling a story just for the sake of it, but it's about being able to land at the key message that you want to address, that you want to get at. Business storytelling is not absence of data. It is in conjugation with data. Business storytelling is not about giving justification, giving examples, making it unreal. Storytelling is absolutely real. Yeah, so that's what storytelling is, because if you look at it, stories have been around for time immemorial. In this book by Harari, Sapiens, if anybody's read that book, pop a yes there. If you read the book called Sapiens by Harari, brilliant, one of my favorite books from the last 6-7 years that I read. Great book, and even in his book, he talks about how Storytelling is even older than language, and cave paintings are testament to that, right? So cave paintings with stories, to the time that where we've all of us attending this session have grown up listening to stories from our parents and grandparents, and those stories have formed our initial belief system, have they not? Right? About friendship, about values, about integrity, about honesty. It's come from stories. To the time when somebody stood up and said those magical words, I have a dream. Let's see in the chat window if you can tell me who I'm talking about. The words, I have a dream, one of the most powerful narratives ever told. Absolutely, Martin Luther King, absolutely. To the time when more recently somebody, late Steve Jobs, went up and told the story of how he wanted to create a dent in the universe. Stories have been instrumental in shaping individual brands, organizational brands, create movements, drive inspiration, make change happen. Stories have really done that in the past, right? And they continue to do that even today. But here's the thing. I'm convinced that we're all born storytellers. We're all born storytellers who've just become shy or unsure of telling stories. Where sometimes when I'm coaching somebody and, in the middle of the session, I'm coaching this person and he goes, all of this is fine, Gatik, but I'm not a storyteller. And whenever I hear that, I look at that client and I say, you're not a storyteller. Okay, I hear you. Did you ever go to school? And they say, yeah, of course I went to school. I said, do you remember getting a report card from school? They say, yeah, I remember getting a report card from school. I said, do you remember taking it back home and having a conversation with your parents? I said, yeah. I said, see, you're a born storyteller. Right? But the point I'm making, that's just in jest, but the point I'm making is that we're all born storytellers who've just become shy or unsure of telling stories, right? And I equate storytelling with dancing. For me, storytelling is just like dancing. All right, here's a question for you. How many of you like to dance? Give me a yes if you like to dance. Give me a yes in the chat window. And give me a couple of exclamation marks if you really love to dance. The number of exclamation marks would tell me how much you really like dancing. Okay, Amrita's got like 10. Oh, wow. Deepika's got a lot of, I like dancing. Malik, yeah, okay. You like dancing. Great. Mayank's just got exclamation marks. Can't get enough. Yeah, Anita, absolutely. So you love dancing, right? Here's the next question, all right? How many of you like dancing without alcohol? Some of the yeses may change. But that's all right. I'm just pulling a fast one. That's all right. Whether you like to have a drink or not is not the point. But here's the point. We all love to dance, but there comes a time where we start becoming a little unsure because storytelling is just like dancing. Storytelling is just like dancing. And like in dancing, and so in storytelling, we go through 5 stages. We go through 5 stages of dancing and 5 stages of storytelling.